The main components of an organized preschool is having what you want your child to learn, kind of a checklist of daily routines or skills, and then a draft of how you might organize that into your day, like a daily routine. You'd also want to gather hands-on activities that will help your child to practice those skills, and ones that are large can fit on a shelf where the child can access them, taking out one basket at a time, working with you or on their own, and then putting it back before they get a new activity. I just want to point out before I go into details of more things you can do with preschoolers that if you literally just had a book like this and some other favorite books, you could teach your kids all the main skills. I wouldn't use this page for my 3-year-old, but I have letters, numbers, colors, opposites and vocabulary, shapes and environmental shapes, more vocabulary. And this book would take just a few minutes to go through, and you'd also want like a board book Bible and some other books. And then maybe you could just pick one of the activities to do with them. And preschool could be over in 5 to 15 minutes.
Ready? A, big A, little A, ant. Big B, little B, boy. Big E, little E, elephant.
When time is short, remember learning happens in the bathtub. We can talk about body parts and hygiene. Learning happens in the kitchen while they're on the stool or in your sling and talking about what you're doing. Learning happens outside and in nature and in every place and even in the car. So just intentional conversations and use of vocabulary and context is huge. These drawers are helpful too for small parts. We have Unifix cubes, Jenga blocks or building blocks, a marble track, magnetiles, and Lincoln logs. Melissa and Doug toys are great for preschoolers. And these are shape-based puzzles that are very easy to do, and they can learn composing and decomposing shapes when they use 2 squares, for example, on puzzles where they could otherwise use a rectangle. Here would be an example of a rectangle where 2 squares could be used. Toys that encourage color, fine motors, letters, numbers, shapes. I love the shape sorter. It has a lot of different shapes, not just the basic ones, so they can begin building vocabulary early, even if they don't have it mastered. Having musical instruments, which I need to order more. We got rid of our first set. They were mix and match, and now that my daughter's to that age where she might enjoy them, I'm going to order some new ones. This is another great Melissa and Doug type toy for shapes, colors, and numbers. These are fun, but haven't been that popular with my kids. They are stone or rock stacking toys, and you can use these in any kind of toy to have them pick it up and get some extra fine motor. Blocks with numbers and objects are great for just stacking or even counting and ordering numbers. These guys are fun to stack. We have counting bears and mats where they can sort them and count them by color or match the quantity to the numeral. There's a fun dice that comes with this. You can roll and pick the color bear you landed on the paper dice and then put it on. These are for a little bit older kids, maybe 3 and up, maybe older depending on the child, but you can trace out a map if you have a projector. I have a map of the world on this sheet, and then they can sort animals by continent, or I have cards where they can sort them by habitat. This came from Animals in My World, Hubbard's Cupboard.org. And that website has a lot of resources for preschoolers. And then they can lay these mats out and sort the little rubber animals by habitat. Having some pattern blocks is great for also composing, decomposing, and identifying shapes and even colors. You could sort these by color. You can sort mega blocks by color, which I don't have here, but they're in our other closet. Those big mega blocks are great. And then with the pattern blocks, you can lay them on the correct place and count how many of each shape. You can compose hexagons using different shapes. This is a tangram activity, but these are what I like. With the Good and the Beautiful Kindergarten, the original Good and the Beautiful, but you can buy these online, ones similar to it. There's like pattern block, templates so that they can lay the pattern blocks on and make different shapes and objects. Having a plan ahead of time, either on paper And also by just setting it up, even just setting it up like this and having, okay, I know I want my kid to learn shapes, numbers, letters, colors, and, you know, among other things. And having toys that lead to that, that it kind of naturally happens as long as you're helping the child and guiding the child through the toy, then they will learn those things if you're intentional. And so having a plan at the beginning of the year and setting up stations is great, especially if you have multiple kids and you need something quick to grab to work with them, either, you know, passively or actively while you're working with other children. For my 3-year-old, I also have a basket, so that I can target all these same skills in, you know, a different way. So I might just have everything in one place, grab the basket, go sit and snuggle on the couch. And one thing I like to have is a preschool notebook, which becomes like a little first portfolio. And it's open-ended, which is Charlotte Mason friendly, for those who are Charlotte Mason. And what I can do in here is a lot of things. You know, I can have her pack of crayons ready and a pencil. And you can do numbers by, you know, writing numbers and then having the child put the correct number of stickers here or drawings. You could do where you are doing shapes and you maybe do dots to make, you know, each kind of shape. And then they trace the dots. Of course, you know, I'm going fast right now, so my shapes might not be that good, and I would probably make the dots bigger. And then they would, you know, connect the dots, so that's fine motor and shapes. It's like you're combining fine motor with shapes, numbers, colors, letters. And while you're coloring, you're identifying colors as you're using the crayons. Another thing you can do for shapes is draw shape scenes. So I always draw like an outdoor scene or like a person. And so, you know, you could be like, if you're drawing a person, okay, a circle for the head, an oval for the body, rectangles for the arms, rectangles for the legs, circles for the hands. And I draw little stick fingers. Remind you, I'm doing this with between a 1 and a 3-year-old. Semicircle for the eyes, or just circles, triangle for the nose, semicircle for the mouth, and then you can just do hair. However, oval for the feet, and so on. You could do a scene, circle for the sun, you know, trees, grass, flowers, you know, everything else. And then you have them color it, and you color with them, and you can use a coloring book to also teach them or hear how to color in the lines, use colors that make sense, and fill in the white spaces. And of course, however it comes out, it's fine, but you just kind of model the right way to color. Other things you can do in this notebook is cutting out pictures from a magazine and pasting them. You can glue in their artwork into here. They could do a sticker collage. They could do stamping in here. You know, the list goes on and on. And then what about letters? I probably would stick with just doing that in like an ABC book, where I would just every day, big A, little a, ant, big B, little b, boy. And then I would also do a lot of puzzles for the letters. The lowercase, obviously, is what we use mostly when we write, unless it's a proper noun. But I have this same puzzle in upper and lower, and then I have one that combines the upper and lower. But if you actually want your kids to learn the letters, you need to use an ABC book and flashcards. Whether you're doing with, you know, like I said, any of these tools or books, your primary skills are shapes, colors, numbers, and letters. And of course, there's other things, but as far as the academic stuff in preschool. One other thing I'd add is fine motor or writing. And while they're playing with these toys, they're getting fine motor. And I'm going to have a whole list of things in here that we'll get to of other ways to do fine motor. But one of them in the basket is a pen control book for kids 3 to 5. Of course, if your child's ready, they could start at 2 or 2.5. And it's dry erase, and it kind of gradually gets harder and harder. And of course, you can kind of hold their hand and help them model. And it's pretty fun. Another fun thing is magnetic letters on the fridge, and you can talk through the names and sounds of letters or just let them play. You can also place these letters on cookie sheets. And then these leapfrog ones, this one's for numbers, 1 through 10, and you match numbers and quantities. I don't feel like digging through, but there's like, you know, a numeral and then a group of objects.
Let's have a picnic. Cherries. 1, 2, 3,
Yep, and it counts
4,
them.
5, 6.
And then
Here
it
are
sings.
6 cherries. I'm hungry for 6.
So it's pretty cute.
I'm hungry for.
This one is not working anymore, but it's for making CBC words like cat, bat, and so on. This one is for letters. You put the letter in and it makes the name and sound of the letter and sings the ABC song. Primary puzzles I like to have are a shape puzzle. And of course, I really like the shape sorter for shapes and using the notebook or board books. This one is a magnetic fishing puzzle by Melissa and Doug. Comes with this little fishing pole that I've had to reattach because I've had it for so long. It's another ocean puzzle. It's kind of redundant. And a farm puzzle so you can practice the names and sounds of farm animals. This is a great first puzzle. It's nice and chunky and easy to put in, and it draws their attention because it names the animals and sings a song. Again, I like to have upper and lowercase ABC puzzles or ones that combine them, but those are kind of hard till they're older when you have too much going on because there would be 52 altogether with 26 upper and 26 lower. Then as they advance, like my 3-year-old can't do this one. Yes, this would be like 4 and up, maybe 5. But she can now do these types of puzzles that are a little bit harder. She's been doing these easier ones that I just showed you for a while, and now she can do these more jigsaw type puzzles, but still not like, you know, the harder ones, the ones that are still on the boards like this. Another one that's fun. These are great to find at thrift stores or on Facebook Marketplace or eBay or on Amazon. There's another advanced one. This is one she could do. So this is kind of like 3 years old and 4. They, you know, can do these. And this one's a little advanced, but with help she can do it. And this is another little easy one. You could talk about Roy G. Biv, the colors of the rainbow: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. Roy G. Biv is the acronym to remember that. All right, so back to the basket. You know, I have a preschool folder. And basically, now that she sees her kindergarten sister having a folder, she wants one, so that's why I made one. But I can have the letter and sound cards here. So instead of using a board book, I could use cards now. And I keep the upper and lower together at first and use the picture clue. Once they get familiar with that, then it switches to the cards where they're all separated upper and lower, and you can section off a few to master at a time while still reviewing all the letters each day quickly with either a board book chart or cards where they're together just like this. And this is fun. I would be like, big L, little L, ol, Lester lion licks the lollipop. So again, let's review letters, numbers, shapes, colors, and fine motor or writing. So she's 3. A lot of kids aren't ready to start learning their name, but I'm going to kind of just help her gently learn to trace her name. But first you can start teaching them how to spell their name with a little song. E-L-I-Y-A-H, that's how you spell Aaliyah's name. You could have them just horse around tracing a little bit. As they get older, they'll be able to do that more. Again, here's the other option, either a board book, a chart, or flashcards to learn the letters. Same thing. Big A, little a, apple. Or you could just say a, apple. But I like to say big, little to emphasize like that's like they're a pair. They go together. There's a big one and a little one. And you could switch later to capital and lowercase or uppercase and lowercase. Okay, and then counting. This is really advanced for her, but her sister has one and she likes it. So my goal is for her to count to 10 and then to 20. And so I would just take her little finger and count with her. 1, 2, 3, or better yet, I would count on my fingers. It's going to be hard to show you with the camera in my hand, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm showing my fingers. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So that's a fun song to sing. Another fun routine is to count all their fingers, all their toes, or in the beginning, just their fingers, and then having them to show you, show me 1 finger, and showing them how to tuck behind. Show me 2, show me 3. And they would go real slow at first, and you'd help them 4 and 5 and so on. You know, she's not ready to do 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, but eventually you show 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 on your fingers. So again, shapes I would do with toys mostly, and a board book, but you could also do it on a chart if your child sees older siblings and wants it to be more formal. So they might not be ready to learn all of these shapes, but they can begin exploring them and learning some of them. You know, with numbers, you want them to recognize, count just orally at first. I can count. then I can recognize. Now they start to recognize if you show them the number on the chart as they're counting or in a book. So if you're doing this board book from the time they're little and you're touching the number, saying the number, counting objects, they're going to start to recognize the numbers 1 through 10. So I can count, I can recognize the numbers, I can write the numbers. That would come much later, but you can start maybe at 3 or 4 with a big dry erase marker, tracing the numbers and saying poems. Let's pull straight down. The 1 is fun. That's the way to make a 1. 2, around and down and out go you. That's the way to make a 2. Around and around, just like a bee. That's the way to make a 3. Down across and down once more. That's the way to make a 4. Short neck, belly fat, wears a hat. Around and down in a circle you go. That's a 6, just like you know. Across the sky and down from heaven. That's the way to make a 7. Make an S, then go straight. That's the way to make an 8. Make a ball, then a line. That's the way to make a 9. And my 3-year-old's not ready to learn her phone number yet, but maybe next year when she's 4, she can learn that. And by kindergarten, have address and phone number. They could cut out shapes or trace shapes. I have like a page for each shape. And then this is like once she can kind of do her name on this page, then I'll let her do this little like name packet that it's a customizable name packet, and you can get it on creatorprintables.com. And so you basically it generates printables for your child when you put their name in, and they have different little activities for the name. And then I have like just extra paper in case she gets to a point where she wants to try to, form letters or write something. But she's only 3, so we have a lot of time. This is really exciting. So while my older kids do their little calendar, thumbprint calendar each month, it has like at the top of the calendar, you make a thumbprint picture that matches the season. She's not going to have a calendar unless she really wants one, but instead she can do her handprint to make an apple for A. So basically there's a handprint and picture for each letter of the alphabet, and then I can laminate this, bind it, and now I can practice her letters with her own alphabet book. I can try to remember to put a link for this one because this one was one of the more affordable ones and really cute ones, because some of them I'm like, well, it's free or it's cheaper, but it wasn't as cute. And they have for, a couple for some of the letters, a couple options. Busy books are just one more way to practice fine motor skills. The string is missing, but my 5-year-old actually learned to tie her shoes at 4.5, or she might have just turned 5. Yeah, she was 5 when, with this. So this was great. And then this has been really helpful. Like when I would go to corporate prayer at my church and just like people pray while walking in a circle, I would push my kids in the stroller and I would give my daughter, who was then 2, this thing, and I would kind of keep unclipping it for her and just like undo everything, then she'd do it back up. And I just keep doing that while walking in circles with a stroller, and it was pretty helpful. Okay, so I talked about some of the basic academic skills. This is going to go into more depth, and then you're going to want to stick around because I'm going to show you my schedule for how would I teach these things when I have like 5 other students to teach and my students too, and how to incorporate your preschooler into your day. So stay tuned for that at the end. Okay, so preschool checklist for parents who enjoy enriching their eager learners. So this is what I'm going to use for my 3-year-old this year. I might be able to use it for more than 1 year, probably next year too, because I kind of covered skills for 1 to 5 years old. Okay, practice these skills daily or often. Do most or all this saying and pointing for letters, shapes, colors, and numbers. So you're going to be doing most of that. Then, if desired, check in to see what they know every so often. So your goal is not to stress them out or quiz them. It's just to expose them, and hopefully they're memorizing it as you draw their attention and model for them. Okay, so reading, vocabulary, and songs is the first category, and I'll go through those pieces. Math, which is like numbers at this age and counting. Gross fine motor skills. Sensory, that's like basically the preschool version of writing and handwriting. Self-care and responsibility. Spiritual, example, daily routine. And of course, like I said, I'll show you how I do it when I have multiple kids, because this might not quite work when you have to have more than one child. But for a parent with a first child, that could be really helpful. And then this is kind of a quick summary sheet for routines for infant or 0 through 2, 2 through 4 years old, and 4 through 5. And I have this on Teachers Pay Teachers for free. Go ahead and look at it. So for reading vocabulary and songs, encourage them to reply back to good morning and good night and I love you. Practice answering the questions and responding to what is your name, how old are you, and teach them to show how many, the fingers to match. How are you? Model and direct the child to use manner words. Thank you, please, you're welcome, excuse me, may I. Learn to give compliments and state things thankful for, especially in prayer before bed. Sing alphabet song and point to the letters in the book. And that's the thing I like to do before I do the letter names and sounds when they're little and don't know the alphabet song. Either at the beginning or end of doing the letter name and sound routine, I will actually just point and sing A, B, C, D and go through all the letters. So that later, for when they need to do alphabetical order, they know the alphabet order in the song. And it's fun anyway. Okay, sing, memorize songs and rhymes. Jesus loves me, Jesus loves little children, etc. and nursery rhymes. Read to the child every day. Plenty of books. ABC books, 1, 2, 3, shapes, colors, animals, favorite stories, and Bible storybooks. If desired, children who know their letter names and sounds fast without help, upper and lower case letters mixed and separated, and no picture clue, may start to learn to sound out CDC word families. Okay. Practice naming face and common body parts. Name common farm and pet animals. Make sounds for each cow, sheep, pig, horse, dog, cat, etc. Practice naming family members and album in person. And some of this stuff you could even start with your child that's under 1 year old. Name and point to things in their environment, inside and out, and use sentences. So you could say, car. I see the car. Car. So you're naming it and saying it in a sentence. Okay, math. And so you can do these kinds of things or just incorporate it into everyday life. It's just about having in your head every day I'm going to do something related to numbers, shapes, colors, letters, and of course the other things that I've named, they're just like spiritual or, habits, hopefully we're doing those too. All right, practice colors with book and as you go about day when getting dressed and playing, blue, green, yellow, pink, purple, orange, brown, white, black. Practice shapes with puzzles, shape sorter, environmental shapes and books. Practice counting to 10 on fingers and toes with toys and books, etc. Children, sorry, I missed the word learn. Learn to count up to 100 by or before the end of K, their kindergarten. Older preschoolers may point and count on number chart, recognize and trace numbers 1 to 10, order number cards 1 to 10, count objects, small toys, or small toys to match a given numeral. And I might do that with my daughter this year. I didn't do it yet, but I'm going to put a set of number cards 1 to 10, and then we can play games with them. You could have her, slap the number this, or have help her put them in order and put objects on each card that match matching the quantity of objects to numerals or little Play-Doh balls. Or you could just pick one number each day and count out that many objects. Compare groups of objects to tell which is greater and less. They may add 2 small groups of objects or numbers within 5 using their fingers. Okay, gross, fine motor, sensory, outdoors. Okay, so gross motor is your large body things like these things. And fine motor is like your ability to write and use your hands. Okay, so ball and body actions. Roll, kick, throw, bounce, run, skip, gallop, jump, roll, dance. Art tools that you can use with your child to begin to build their motor skills. Markers, watercolors, finger paints, crayons, sticker books. And sorry about my typo. Magazine cut and paste crafts. Sensory play, Play-Doh, rice, shaving cream, water play, water beads, kinetic sand, sandbox, sand tray writing. Of course, you want to keep all these things put up high in a closet when they are not being used, or you will find a big mess. Pen control book, like I showed you the dry erase one. Okay, coloring and drawing with shapes together in the notebook, open-ended notebook to use with your preschooler. It's a nice bonding time. Using the art tools above, it is for fine motor too. Letter and handwriting pages for 4 and up. So for her, I don't have them printed yet. I don't know if we'll do them this year or next year probably, because she'll be 4 in the summer next year. Okay, but I have some favorite letter handwriting pages that I share in my curriculum for kindergarten, I believe. I don't know if I put a link though, probably not. But if you would like one, just comment, and I'm always happy to share my favorite resources. All right, outdoor gross motor, tricycle, wagon, trampoline, walks, nature play, collecting nature, beaches, parks, zoos, etc. Taking them out on field trips to aquariums, and that's all part of vocabulary too, and comprehension. Educational toys, puzzles. I love Melissa and Doug toys. Puzzles for matching and recognizing letters, numbers, shapes, and colors, and animals. Shape sorters. Color and food sorting. Stringing and lacing beads, and if they don't put it in their mouth, you can use regular pony beads and a pipe cleaner. If they're older, they could use, stretchy string. Self-care and responsibility, potty training. You can put when you start and end that, when they're officially potty trained. They're not wetting their underwear or diapers anymore. They're in underwear. Some kids obviously need to wear a diaper at night longer. Practice hand washing and wiping. Practice getting dressed. Practice brushing hair and teeth. And if anybody wants me to do a potty training video, let me know. It might be hard since all my kids are potty trained, but I don't know. Potty training went really well with my kids. I had my son potty trained 2 weeks before 2. My daughter potty trained 2 weeks after 2, and I had more kids. It took a little longer because I'm busier. But my last daughter, she was potty trained about 3 months after 2, like fully. All right. Practice routine for washing in the tub and shower, because once they hit a certain age, especially boys, they're not going to want you to see them anymore, so we better teach them hygiene while they don't mind mama being in there with them. Practice picking up toys, cleaning up on spills, and help with chores in a fun way. So I keep burp cloths in a basket on a shelf in my kitchen that they can reach, and I'll be like, oh, oops, no problem, grab a burp cloth, and they'll wipe up their spills. And if I have to, I do a lot of the cleaning for them, but I try to find at least some opportunities when they're like 1, 2, and 3, at least once a day or twice, where there's a little bit of toys that I can be like, oh, let's clean it together, clean up everybody. And I'll even take their hands sometimes when they're really little and like do it with them. And so remember, it's I do, we do, you do. A lot of it is I do, when they're little, and then they gradually join you and do it with you, and eventually it'll be them doing it. And some things they can do now, but a lot of things they won't be able to do till later on their own, and they need a lot of accountability. Yes, it is normal for a 5, 6, and maybe even older for them to need you to watch them clean their room and give them some guidance. Habit training, first time obedience, attention, following directions, saying sorry, being honest, cleaning up, hygiene and self-care again, part of habit training. Spiritual, positive, help them develop a positive relationship with church attendance by going no matter what, unless you're sick. At least that's my policy. My husband and I are kind of in a little season right now where he's not going for whatever reason, but hopefully he'll get back. And I'm just still going to church with my kids, and I, just try to explain to them why that's important and try to make it fun and positive. Prayer before bed and meals, Bible stories, memory verses, Sunday school songs. Okay, playing worship music in the house and things like that. It's nice too as they're waking up, especially if you remember to. I don't always. Okay, now here's an example of how to incorporate those types of things in your daily routine, especially if you just have one child and you can just focus on them. All right, so each routine could be as short as 5 minutes, okay? This is not your whole day. You could spread it out throughout your day and trickle it in, but mostly they're just playing and interacting and doing, things going out and about. Or you could condense all of it, have a basket, even add in some board books into your basket, or just have a basket of board books, especially if they're little. You can do everything on board books. You do have your little toys, but if you didn't have time that day to do more than that, you can just, right before their nap or bed or in the morning, sit down, snuggle with your little basket and have some books that do shapes, colors, numbers, and letters, and some little classic stories if you have time, and a Bible story book. So maybe in the morning you could, right before breakfast or during breakfast or after breakfast, you could sing a little Sunday school song. Maybe you want them to learn Jesus Loves Me with the hand motions. You sing that with them every day, and maybe some other ones. You read their little beginner's Bible or board book Bible that is interactive, and you have breakfast. Or you could do Bible and bedtime while you sit in their bed with them. And then play, where you if you want, you go right into, math or numbers, colors, numbers, counting, and shapes, like in the ways I told you, with fingers and objects, and play, lunch and letters and learning. So LL, it helps me remember. Maybe at lunch while they're eating, you could go through their little flashcards or a little book, or do a little Jack Hartman letter video, and maybe say some nursery rhymes to them. Or you could do it after lunch and snuggle. Then if your child naps, which mine's gradually, my kids, as I got to 3 kids, stop napping earlier and earlier, because it's really hard to make a child nap when you are busy with other children. And it also messes up bedtime a lot, and you start to care less about nap time when you have other kids awake anyway. So, and rest and remember, RR. They can, if you didn't get any of those things in, this would be a good time to have a little quiet time and use your board books or other materials in your basket to do some of those skills. You could remember a little memory verse. 1 John 4:7, love is from God. There's little cute books that have little verses, or you can make little cards. Freedom Kids Bible videos have really great songs and visuals to help little kids remember verses. The ABC of Becca verses are fun. A, all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. But I would wait till they're like in kindergarten or maybe pre-K4 to start that. B, believe on the Lord Jesus Christ and thou shalt be saved. Acts 16:31. And so, here we are. And then, maybe after their nap, you could do a little fine motor time. Like whatever serves your child best at that age, interest, and their ability at that time. All right, number 6, snack and story time or tea and tail time. Now, they might, if they had a nap, really want to do this first. So you kind of just have to play around with this. It could be flexible, but just find what works for you and try to stick with it and adjust it as you need to. So snack and story, that's when if you haven't already, you can read those classic stories to them, favorites, picture books, or you can call it tea and tail if they're a little older and they like tea with honey in it and cool down with some ice or milk. You have a little tea, light a candle, and read a little story, and then lots of playing, and then, dinner and everything else a few hours later. Now, I also have this summary I think I showed you from infant on that you could download this and look at it, or you can pause it now and try to read this very tiny handwriting, so forgive me, it's probably hard to read. And then if you have a newborn, this is really fun, setting up little stations around your house for tummy time and for enrichment activities for your baby that you can do with them or on their own. And so you can look at this chart better if you download this. I'll leave a link in the description. All right, now as promised, I'm going to show you how I'd incorporate a toddler into a schedule where you have a lot of kids. This year I'm going to have 2 kindergartners, 2 third graders, a 5th grader, a 1st grader, a 3-year-old, a 2-year-old, and a newborn in my house. Now I will have another teacher with me. We have a hybrid, but I will be primarily responsible for teaching all the school-age children, and we'll delegate some things to her. But what could your toddler be doing during morning basket? Well, I'm going to have all of them have a Bible coloring book. So here's the coloring book all the kids will have, even the 5th graders. And each day when I read from the passage, it says on the top of the coloring sheet, I might read 2 pages worth, and they will color while I do that. And then I'll go into our other morning basket reads, and they can still keep coloring. So my preschooler can do that. She can go off and play if she wants. And maybe, let's say she's not getting a lot out of this. I could do her board book Bible time before bed at night, or if, Lord willing, there's time, if she wakes up before the other kids, I could take that 1 minute and read her little beginner's Bible story to her, or anywhere else I can fit it in. So that would be morning basket time. What I would do with my, preschooler who may or may not be able to fully participate. Okay, what would I do with my preschooler at math? That's where I do the Melissa and Doug toys that relate to shapes, colors, and numbers. I would use that notebook I showed you to have her sit on my lap while I work with the other kids, or she could just sit and I could kind of, come rotate around each kid and have her doing, like I showed you in the notebook, things in the notebook that would relate to the skills. So please, go back to that part of the video if you didn't see it. Stickers in the notebook, coloring in there. I also, again, I would use the toys. I could even have her do those little number cards and objects and some of the things that kindergartner is doing if she is able to as she gets closer to 4. What would I do with her while the other kids are doing reading time? I would probably not have time to read her board books. Like, I would hope that while I'm doing the letters and sounds with the kindergartners, or reviewing it because they already know their letters and sounds, she could participate in that part while we do the letter sound review. And then she could go in the listening center and do the ALPHBET Pals storybooks, which are audiobooks that relate to preschool skills, but you could put any audiobook. She could play with her magnetic letters. She could play with those toys in the baskets on the shelves. She could look at little board books out of her little basket of board books that I could set up for her. If I had time, I'd read with her, but I'm probably going to be doing guided reading with the older kids. So what would my preschooler do while the other kids are writing and or listening to the history read aloud? I could, lightly guide her with the pen control book as I circle around between her and the other kids. I could use that notebook again and do some more like connecting the dots or drawing pictures with shapes. I could have her use her preschool folder and do her name tracing practice, or that little book or number tracing practice, or the little name book if she's ready for that. Pretty much, I could have her playing with Play-Doh or doing any of those fine motor activities that I talked about that aren't too messy, because when you're trying to do school with other kids, you don't want to have suddenly, have them doing sand or rice and have it everywhere. That would be a time when you want to be able to actually kind of control the situation better. What would I do with my preschooler while the other kids are doing spelling and or phonemic awareness for the kindergartners? I could have her playing with letter magnets on the fridge or on a cookie sheet. I could have her doing those wood puzzles. I could have her listening to alphabet songs on the listening center. I could have her playing with any of the Melissa and Doug toys, or just free playing at any time. If they're just happy to free play and you're busy with the older kids, great. Have them go do that. But sometimes they want to be at the desk like all the big kids, or their own little table. I have a little toddler table I might use for the toddlers. And they want to kind of be doing something. And then they might only do it for a couple minutes and then get up and go. Or they might need to sit on your lap, and you have them on your lap, and then you have someone on your right and someone on your left, which is going to be tricky. So if I need to be up and around because I have multiple students and she just wants me, I'm going to stick her in my Tula carrier or my sling on my hip and just hold her, give her that emotional closeness, and she might not just want to do anything. She might just want to be with me. And then during lunch, she would just be eating and listening to whatever I'm doing with the older kids. And, then play. In review, you want a shelf with Melissa and Doug toys that lend towards colors, shapes, numbers, and letters, and just, hands-on, fine motor type things for them to build their fine motor skills. You can do gross motor at it, whenever it fits in outside and just playing. I don't have to worry too much about that, probably. Kids are just going to play. Have a little folder if they're, 3 and up and you want to do that. You can set it up like I did. Have your checklist in there, little flashcards, dry erase pages for tracing, and any other little printables that you like. Have a little open-ended notebook so you can just kind of create as you go and do, freestyle learning opportunities like I showed earlier in the video, and there can do free drawing in there or anything else. Have your pen control book if they're old enough to do that. Have plenty of books that allow you to teach colors, shapes, and numbers. You can have those in a separate basket and then have one main one in your primary preschool basket. And then for, just a special project to do this year, you could do the little handprint ALPHBET book. Busy books, and a key thing is having, again, different variety of different wooden puzzles. And of course your art tools, mainly crayons, but also maybe teaching them how to use washable markers or the mess-free markers, colored pencils, and finger paints, and all those types of things that I have on the checklist.